Will filmmakers make more money from Netflix or Tubi?
So it depends on the film. Netflix mostly pays license fees for films, straight payments, and here's what we'll pay you for your film, and we'll get it for this length of time, and that's it. Tubi can do that too now. They have paid upfront monies, but Tubi mostly works with distributors. So like I don't pitch Tubi because I just don't find they're really that interested in taking on true independent films directly from filmmakers or from reps. So they're more part of the mix with what the distributor's doing at the end of the day. And so most films, most true indies are not getting the Netflix deal, but getting on Tubi. So they're making more money by default from Tubi on their films. If they were to get it, if Netflix did buy the film, and then eventually it got on Tubi, it could be that the Netflix deal was so good that they'll never make as much money on Tubi as they did for that deal, or it could be a small license fee and then it takes off on Tubi because it's the right kind of content for Tubi. So yeah, it just kind of depends. It's not really a very straightforward answer to that, really.
Where can filmmakers go to make the most money on their films?
So I would say in general, most people are going to make the most money through all rights distributors that handle all these various platforms and maximize all the platforms as best they can for the filmmaker. Ideally, you get a big fat license fee from a streamer. Ideally, you get a large minimum guarantee, a payment up front from your distributor to handle the rights, which they'll recoup from revenues later. But that doesn't happen for most movies. And most movies don't get the direct-to-streaming deal. So most movies get the all rights distribution, digital and sales deals that are out there. And for me, unless you want to put on the hat of self-distribution for 6 months to a year, and you have the right kind of film for self-distribution, the path of going that way with an all rights distributor is the best way to go. On the other hand, if you've made a documentary about dogs and you have great contacts with organizations that are devoted to dogs, saving dogs, rescue organizations, lovers of dogs in social media groups, and you've cultivated over that time, or you're willing to go and cultivate that. And there are people out there that can help you do that. There's a couple of great, kind of self-distribution gurus out there that are great at teaching you how to maximize the value out of that kind of film. And there have been a couple filmmakers that said, well, you've got the kind of film you should probably do that with, rather than going through me and trying to get traditional distribution. But for the most part, if you've made a comedy, drama, thriller, horror, or family film, a narrative film, or a documentary that doesn't have like that kind of niche that and you don't have a self-distribution hat that you want to put on, self-distribution is not the thing to do. Like, it's a overwhelming undertaking, and it's got its own risk. It's not foolproof. You can go out there and do all those things, those self-distribution things, and it not work as well. But as long as you're happy with that and that's the thing you want to do, that could be the option for some filmmakers. But overwhelmingly, most people are going to maximize the value of their film by going to an all rights distributor that handles all the various rights.
What if you have a Christmas film or a Women in Peril / Women in Power, whatever they're called now, film?
So there's lots of options for both of those genres. Kind of depends on the quality of the film and how it comes out. But both of those are in demand internationally. Both of those, you have to sell it at the right time of year, though, because you need a long lead time. Like most Christmas films are released in November. To be released in November, you have to have made your deal with someone by, August or so. So the best time to sell, truly the best time to sell a Christmas film is probably May, because then you're giving your distributor a lot of time to really get everything going and geared up properly for that release in November. But you see Christmas films on Netflix and on all the different streamers and theatrical, and it's definitely, if you pull it off, it's definitely. I think there's a margin for error there. There isn't with other films. Same with, I think, women in peril thrillers. There's also a margin of error there. The film doesn't have to be quite as good in order to make money because it's such a desired genre.
And that's overseas as well as domestic?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For both of those.
Interesting. What is the self-distribution hat? Just in a nutshell, what is that?
So there are different methodologies that different people teach on how to self-distribute a movie. And that usually involves trying to identify groups out there that would have a natural inclination to dig your film. And then whether it's going after those people on social media directly and trying to market directly to them, or it's creating partnerships with organizations that have the same cause and doing free screenings with those people in order to create word of mouth, and then sell to their, have them in exchange for doing a free screening. They market to the larger group of people in their organization. That's the way I've seen a couple of self-distribution gurus teaching these days in terms of techniques to try to, but it takes a lot of time and effort, and it's a different mindset. Most of my filmmakers are like, okay, I'm done with my job. I want a distributor to distribute the movie, and don't want to spend 6 months they want that movie to get out and make money, and they want to be creative and make the next project, and they don't have that, salesmanship, marketing, and you really got to get after it. In order to make it work, it's not as easy as finding a group on dog lovers on social media and then just send them a message. You got to really engage with them and get them and connect with them, and over time, make yourself well known to them and become a part of that culture almost in order to do that kind of self-distribution. There are a couple of anomalies of filmmakers that manage to get some money in order to help do their own self-distribution of a non-documentary film, where it was a comedy or a thriller. But usually when they did it, they managed to pre-sell. They had someone that pre-sold rights to a foreign territory, and they took that money, or they got money from a Sundance or some company entity that was just wanting to support them, and they poured that money into a theatrical release. And either they booked the theater themselves and figured out how to do that, or they hired a booker, and then perhaps they release. Most of them do end up doing a deal with a distributor, though, at that point, to handle all the various digital rights rather than going through an aggregator. So most successful self-distribution of non-documentaries that I've seen have been pretty well funded to do a theatrical, and that helped the overall picture of the film.